Detroit, Michigan.
Oh yeah.
Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you heard about Marvin Gaye? We got Can I get a witness? Talking about Hitler, USA. We got it. How sweet it is. We got those fine, fine super supremes. The kind of girls you see in your dreams. But when you hear a thundering sound, you know it comes from Detroit town. Talking about Rosa Parks, Miss Leonard. Talking about Henry Ford, the inventor. Talking about Aretha, yeah. We got her. Queen of soul, don't you know? Bob Seger, yeah. We got him in that old time rock and roll. Slim Shady set the world on fire. The big three, baby, and the finest cars. And George Clinton's peak funk all stars. We spend our days on the line and nights in the bars.
Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Detroit, Michigan. 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 Detroit, Michigan.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. As promised, gonna finish this up. I was half an hour late, but I mean, have you not come to expect that from me, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? So, I had a legitimate reason this evening. It's my little guy's birthday, so I had to wait till he went to bed to take part and finish up this at least timeline. Like I said, there's a bunch of stuff I missed. I want to go back and get while I was compiling stuff. There's also some individual things that I want to dig a little bit deeper into, but I'm about to be gone for like a month and a half. So I wanted to get this, at least the timeline portion of it, done tonight before I took off. So we're going to be looking at a new sports stadium, a ridiculous line. We'll talk more about that. And burial bummer, and we get to debunk some CNN bullshit. So it's going to be a good one. And then everything kind of goes into the future from there. So we're going to hit some of the future plans for the greatest city in the world, and that kind of stuff. And yeah, and then like I said, we'll come back later and we'll go through everything and fix what I messed up or fix what I omitted. There's just a lot as we've learned over the past, I don't know, 20 episodes of this series. So yeah, it was important for me to finish this up. So 2014, 15, 16, 17, somewhere in there. Forgot where we ended off, but we're going to kick it off with Barrio Bummer and the Flint water crisis. So in 2014, on April 25th, everybody knows the big to-do. Flint Mayor Dwayne Walling pushed a small black button, which set in motion one of the worst disasters in Michigan history. Facing bankruptcy and under the direction of state-appointed emergency manager, the city had decided to switch its water supply to the Flint River to save money. We all know what happened next. Dangerous levels of lead turned up in the water, poisoning children. An outbreak of Legionnaire's disease killed at least 12 people, and the Flint water crisis became a global outrage. And that, of course, is a picture of Barry Obama allegedly drinking water from the Flint water supply. Let me bust the first myth here. That did not come from the Flint water supply. So, Flint's always had questionable utilities such as water. I used to play hockey up there, and yeah, you bring your own Gatorade bottle. Don't fill it up, and that was even before the water crisis. So, a lot of this is just media manipulation and people getting up in arms about some bullshit. It was bad. They did make a mistake, but it wasn't pristine prior to this. So, Detroit upped the price because Detroit was having their own financial problems. Flint said, we'll show them, switch to local Flint water supply. And when they did so, apparently something with the lead in the pipes, and it unsettled it, and so on and so forth. The rest is history. But they took the opportunity to have this big spectacle of, Barry Obama drinking some Flint River water, or Flint water. So we're going to go through a CNN piece from 2014-15, that area. And yeah, we're gonna take a trip down memory lane to when this was actually happening.
Melissa Mays says the ominous change in the water was particularly noticeable at bath time.
My youngest would tell me, Mom, it's yellow and it's a filmy, gross, foamy thing, and it would smell like open sewer. But we were being told we're still getting used to the new system.
That's just Flint.
It's safe. It's okay.
But it wasn't okay. Far from it. Flint's tap water was laced with dangerous levels of lead. The state knew about it and did nothing.
The trouble began 2 years ago when the state decided to switch Flint from Detroit's drinking water to a new system. But the new system wouldn't be ready for 2 years. In the meantime, to save money, they switched to the Flint River water.
3, 2, 1.
That first decision turned out to be a mistake, as did nearly every step the state took after it. Michigan's Department of Environmental Quality shoulders much of the blame, what a preliminary task force report calls an abysmal public response. At the time, the state agency told Flint it didn't have to add an anti-corrosive agent to the water, saying it was not necessary until 2 6-month monitoring periods had been conducted.
Here's my problem with our municipal water supplies. Like, they're adding in these harsh chemicals, these nasty chemicals, to do things like not corrode the pipes or so on and so forth. Like, that cannot be good for our health long term. Any of it. And I understand it's nearly free. I mean, it's a cheap source of water. Water is necessary to live. I get it. But there's got to be some concern with all the shit that happens with our water supply, and all the chemicals that they constantly pour into it, and just we could pour a chemical in that makes it so the pipes don't corrode downstream. Like, it seems kind of ridiculous, but because you're drinking that chemical, so you're not drinking the lead from the pipes, you're drinking that chemical, so can't be good. I'm telling you.
In other words, they were willing to wait a year to see whether the water was safe. All the while, highly corrosive river water flowed through the city's lead pipes, leaching lead and other dangerous metals into the water supply, and what came out of the tap in many homes was toxic. Almost immediately, residents started complaining. Their water was brown. Some people developed rashes, became sick. Early tests revealed fecal coliform bacteria. So the city and state officials added chlorine to the water supply and
Yeah, there's fecal foreign bacteria, so let's add harmful chlorine. That's what I'm talking about right there.
told people to boil their water. Both mistakes, which can actually increase the level of lead.
I built this place with my tax money.
At city meetings, residents were repeatedly told the water was safe.
We found the worst lead and water contamination that I have seen in 25 years. And
I just want to break in here some breaking news. The governments, local, state, federal, tribal, they're lying to you, and they're going to continue lying to you because there's no need for accountability. There's no need for it. They don't have to be accountable. Also, I was just thinking about something that I didn't add in when we're. Oh yeah, there's so many chemicals in Detroit water. Shit used to be blue. When I was growing up, I remember like people are like, "Oh, water's of course blue." No, that shit was blue, man. Like neon blue. Like I remember it distinctly. Like there were so many chemicals in it. That shit was neon blue, and it wasn't like Kool-Aid. It was water.
believe me, I've seen a lot.
Residents didn't find out about the lead until this man stepped in. Mark Edwards is a Virginia Tech researcher who tested the water early last year.
It was very scary to see the levels of lead, which were hazardous waste levels of lead coming out of her tap water.
That's right. The lead levels in one home were so high, water from the tap could be considered hazardous waste. His testing led to this EPA memo, an interim report which was leaked last summer. It said the high levels of lead in the water were especially alarming because the state's water testing was flawed, so the true lead levels were probably much higher.
And we're 10 years out, and has anything really changed? I know it hasn't in Flint. I mean, there was the uproar and the, like I said, Barry drinking some, that kind of shit. But nothing's really been done about it. It's the same.
We're just waiting for the appropriate authorities to help Flint residents to enforce federal law.
When Flint's former mayor asked the EPA for more information, he was shot down, as you can see in this email.
Yeah, this was like late 90s, early 2000s, that kind of, and it wasn't for a long time, but it definitely was. Like, I vividly remember that. Like,
Email exchange obtained by CNN. The EPA regional director writes, the preliminary draft report should not have been released outside the agency, and that only when the report is revised and fully vetted will it be shared with the city. But that wouldn't happen until months later. Meanwhile, families were still drinking water poisoned with lead. The EPA blames the state, saying in a statement to CNN, what happened in Flint should not have happened, and that the EPA's ability to oversee was impacted by failures and resistance at the state and local levels. The state was continuing with its own mistakes, according to Mark Edwards, butchering a round of water testing. They not only tested the wrong homes, but altered the reports, eliminating tests from 2 homes that would have shown toxic levels of.
Of course they did. Like my previous breaking news, the government's going to lie to you if it benefits them.
Lead. The state says the changes were legitimate.
They fabricated a report that made it appear like Flint was passing the lead and copper rule with flying colors.
In the fall, the government admitted that there was lead in the water and Flint was switched back to Detroit's water supply. But it wasn't until earlier this month that the state of Michigan started bringing in bottled water and declared a state of emergency.
And that's when it became a circus. And they tried to, Rick Snyder, who I'm not a big fan of, but tried to bring him up on charges and all kinds of shit. Like, it was a mess. It was truly, truly a mess. And like I said, nothing's truly been done about it. Like, it's pretty close to the same way that it was. So that takes us to, one of the bad things. Then we go to 2017. Little Caesars Arena. So Little Caesars Arena is a multi-purpose arena in Midtown Detroit. It was opened on September 5th, 2017. The arena, which cost $862.9 million to construct, replaced the Joe Louis Arena, one of the most iconic arenas in history. Like, I love the Joe. Like, it was starting to become kind of a shitstorm, but I love the Joe. In the Palace of Auburn Hills as the home of the Detroit Red Wings of the National Hockey League and the Detroit Pistons of the National Basketball Association. Yeah, I know. Repeat, right? We've always there was when Granholm was the governor, there was the trash seepage. I don't know if you remember that, but she stored a bunch of trash and stuff. Sorry, I forgot about the delay. I should have finished the first one. Hey, Linda. The trash seepage with the Canadian trash that they brought over, super cheap. I remember that was kind of a big deal because it started seeping into some of our water. But yeah, and then they just repeat it over and over again. So, LCA, thoughts on LCA? It's decent. Like, I've seen some concerts there. I've seen, obviously, hockey games. I don't watch the NBA, so I didn't do any of that. There's been some NCAA tournament games. Michigan State played a game over there, so it's been a decent stadium. But so here is a construction time lapse of LCA. LCA also was supposed to be part of a bigger thing that we'll talk about a little bit later, but it largely hasn't. Surprise, government lied to you. So, but we'll get into District Detroit and what that was supposed to be. So Olympia Entertainment is the group that manages the Detroit Red Wings and the stadium. Mike Ilitch owns the Detroit Red Wings. Well, did. I don't know. Is it Chris or Marion that took over? Either his wife or his son took over the Red Wings, and I can't remember which one. But Chris took over, I believe, the Tigers, and I think Marion took over the Red Wings. So Mike Ilitch was he's the man that created Little Caesars, which is one of the things that I completely forgot in this series and don't know how, but it happens. So Mike Ilitch, so the guy who founded and built Little Caesars, owns the Detroit Red Wings, or owned until his passing, and so that's why it's called Little Caesars Arena. The son Chris took over Olympia. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So one of the things, if you ever get a chance to go to LCA, they brought in some of old Detroit and some of Bricktown, Greektown kind of area. And you'll see brick on the inside, just kind of paying homage to that previous kind of system or previous kind of way of doing things. And it's just littered with things that you don't see if you haven't been through. They also took some of the stuff from the Joe. They took like the Gordie Howe, Sid Abel production line statues, big bronze statues that now have a home at LCA. Yeah, but it's like I said, decent arena. There's nothing flashy or fantastic about it, but it's pretty good size. It's a nice arena, and it's obviously state of the art. There are some sight lines that really suck, but they're up a little bit higher because of the, I guess you'd call it like gondola. But yeah, it's nothing to complain about. But so that is Little Caesars Arena. That takes us to another part of District Detroit that you probably saw if you watched my video about going to the NFL draft, which I probably didn't put in here because I was like, I'll just do a specific draft show. And of course, that never happened. So maybe I'll do that one later. I'll bring up my video and kind of show you guys a little bit of it at some point here. But anyways, the Q line. So the Q line was supposed to be this big mass transport system that they got ridiculous amount of money for. JLAs, and I kind of fallen down the upper deck stairs more than once. Yeah, they were so steep. It was kind of ridiculous. Kind of ridiculous. That was probably the worst thing. Or the troughs. The troughs in the bathroom. They were just like I don't know. It was just like a long ass trough that yeah, it was different. It was different for sure. But you know, it happens. So but that, yeah, the Joe was iconic. It was really cool. So I enjoyed many times in the Joe, and I'm sure I'll enjoy many times in LCA eventually. Maybe if the Red Wings are ever good again. Yeah. It just became a waterfall because drunk people spilled shit. That was the main takeaway. Drunk people spilled a lot. But anyways, the queue opened on May 12th, 2017. It connects downtown Detroit with Midtown and New Center, running along Woodward Avenue, M1, for its entire route. The system operated by M1 Rail, a nonprofit organization. It's still free. I guess that's a plus. It's still free. It probably will be for quite some time. So we'll take. I'm going to mute myself because I don't like to listen to myself talk, surprisingly. But this is so. Here's road. This is Woodward Avenue. And the rail is actually in the road. It's in one of the lanes of the road. And we'll see it. We'll see it pop up here in just a second, I think. I have the power of being able to fast forward it. There it is. And it was busy as hell because it was the draft. But you can see it. It's on the other side of the light here. So it's just like a trolley. It's, you know. And you'll see it's incredibly packed. I was literally like pushed against a door because it was really packed. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's not a whole lot to it. And the biggest problem with this is it just doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. It basically goes down Woodward, and that's about it. So So this is basically what it is. So we won't go much further on one of my previous videos. It's there. It's cool. It's me walking to the NFL draft, taking a train. So this is kind of where it goes, Woodward, downtown Detroit. But we're gonna go to this guy. I love this guy. So this requires some explanation because people probably won't get it if you're not from at least Michigan. Michigan did this huge ad campaign to get people to come to Michigan for tourism called Pure Michigan. So, and they made all these ads, and it was Tim Allen, the guy from Home Improvement, and he's a Michigander, and he narrated basically some of them, and then they got somebody else too. But anyways, so there's this channel that parodies the Pure Michigan ads, and they are fucking gold if you're from here. They're so great. But thankfully, this guy did one on the Q, so we're gonna watch it. The Pure Michigan ad on the Q, the parody ad.
The Motor City has declared its comeback official with the Q Line. Detroit's long-awaited $200 million project has mass transit world leaders in total awe. The Q Line spans 3 miles and can reach top speeds nearing 30 miles per hour. And with a wait time of only 25 minutes, the train's downtown commute now rivals the walking pace of a 62-year-old woman. Now, some critics have had the nerve to say that the Q Line is not a viable mass transit system. They have pointed out minor concerns, like the fact that you need to have a ride to get to it, or that the train stops at red lights, or that it can be stalled by parked cars, or even just some asshole on a bike. But others know this is the start of something great, and it will benefit dozens of Detroiters who won't have to walk to their favorite gastropub. City residents now have faith that their longtime troubles will come to an end, and that the Q Line will power Detroit into the new age. Or maybe it will just be another goddamn people mover. The Q Line, the People Mover Part 2. It's Pure Michigan.
So that music and the whole thing, but I don't know if you've ever heard that guy, AP. He is incredible, and it's a small channel. I'll throw a link in it. I wanna, because he just makes fun of everything. Let me see if I can't find. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one. Let me see. Because some of them aren't terrible. Oh, here's one that I forgot. I don't know if this is gonna be. Nah, I don't want to make fun of Downriver today. But this guy's incredible. Like, he's so funny. There was one that I was looking for specifically, but we'll watch the Stafford one. Like, this is all this guy does is make like parodies. Oh, hang on. I gotta click back over. I want to browse what. Yeah, the 696. I love the Royal Oak one. That was one of the first ones he did. But here's Matt Stafford. That's his channel. He's on the smaller side. It's just funny if you're from the area. But
Matthew Stafford is going to the Super Bowl, and it's Pure Michigan. For 12 years, he suffered as a Lion, but fans always showed their love for number 9 because they know Matthew gave Detroit his everything, and the Lions organization gave him nothing except $200 million. While living in Michigan, the Staffords had to rough it in a $6.5 million home, but fans are happy to see the quarterback can now relax in his $20 million LA pad. But money isn't everything, and neither is California sunshine. And fans know the Staffords truly miss Michigan and our beautiful winters, with snow so shitty it's brown. Now, some will argue Stafford never won a meaningful game in Detroit, or that he wasted the career of Hall of Famer Calvin Johnson. But those are not real Lions fans, because real Lions fans wear Rams jerseys, or even a half Rams, half Lions jersey, because they know this is the closest Detroit will ever come to a Super Bowl. So when the big game goes down, and it's quiet outside Ford Field, Matthew Stafford can smile, knowing his Michigan fan base will be cheering him on like a bunch of pathetic losers. Matthew Stafford and pathetic losers. It's Spear, Michigan.
So, anyways, good channel. He's just funny, and especially to people from the general vicinity. But that takes us to the next, and I couldn't find a good video to kind of sum this up. So we're gonna kind of dance around this one. So 2017, a premier urban living, working, play destination featuring professional sports, entertainment, residential, retail, educational, and office space in Detroit by connecting downtown Detroit to growing nearby neighborhoods such as Midtown, Corktown, and Brush Park. And for the record, Midtown and Corktown are really beautiful recently. The district Detroit is having dramatic economic impact on Detroit, and it's driving a catalyst of the city's remarkable resurgence. So I took that directly off their website, if you can't tell. So when they built the aforementioned Little Caesars Arena, they were supposed to build this big district Detroit. So it was supposed to be the Q line, and it was supposed to be several things. And so this is District Detroit's website. There's supposed to be housing and work and entertainment and all these different venues, and that's why they were able to get public money to build the stadium, or so we thought. And yeah, that kind of went by the wayside, and they haven't done a whole lot. So this is the historic Fox Theater. On the corner is Hockey Town Cafe right there. If you watch the draft video, this is LCA, like the top of this red. So it comes in, this is Woodward. So that's kind of a lay of the area. This is the only thing that I've seen that District Detroit is built down there outside of LCA and some parking garages. And it was supposed to be bringing all these people in and doing all this stuff. And I feel like the city kind of got duped. Like, Comerica Park was already there. That's where the Tigers play baseball. And then you have some pubs, but heart of downtown, world-class sports and entertainment district. Is it better than it was? Yeah, it is. But it's not crazy. It's not ridiculously better. Little Caesars Arena is the biggest focal point, but these restaurants, hotels, and retail, a lot of it was already there. Commercial and retail leasing, they're supposed to be building this building, but I forget what it's called, but they're supposed to be building this building for like 10 years now, haven't even started. Residential, nobody lives downtown, like everybody moved to Midtown or Corktown. And education, I take it back. They did build the Mike Ilitch School of Business. They built a new building for that, I believe, in the recent past. But Olympia developer announces co-developer program for 3 Detroit properties. And you can see, I mean, there's still some stuff. I mean, this is from a month and a half ago, but so it was a letdown. It was not the bill of goods that we were sold for what it was supposed to become. But again, surprise, your government lies to you. And then in the year 2018, a 2018 initiative to legalize recreational marijuana passed with 56% of the vote. State licensed sales of recreational cannabis began in December 2019. Medical use was legalized in 2008 through Michigan Compassionate Care Initiative. 75, 80 years, maybe? Unless you're talking about another parking garage for LCA, which they could certainly use. Because that's all I've really seen. But so marijuana was legalized. I don't have a big deal with, I don't really care. Like, if you want to smoke weed, go for it. I'm not going to fight you on it. I don't think the government ever should have gotten involved. I think it was like alcohol prohibition. However, the explosion of weed stores and weed billboards has been kind of ridiculous, not gonna lie. I knew it was gonna be bad, but I didn't think it was gonna be as ridiculous as it has been. And that's kind of disappointing, honestly. Because there are just so many. It's incredibly overwhelming. So hopefully the natural market kind of washes some of those out, and we don't have to deal with as many in the future. But for now, next up, I was really happy with this. If you're ever looking for a good barbecue restaurant, if you're looking at the building from this way, look to your right. It's right there. It's called Slows. Fantastic. Highly recommend. But yeah, 2018 Ford Motor Company purchases Michigan Central Station and announces plans to restore it as the centerpiece for a new hub for the future of mobility. Now, they didn't say what that was going to be, what the future of mobility was going to be. But it is a beautiful building, and I've seen multiple times them working on it. And we're going to MLive, local news, did a tour of the renovated Michigan Central Station in Detroit. Safety gorgeous promotion model from heading to Cascade at 2 a.m. when her shift ended at MGM. Oh, wow. Damn. Michigan Central is, I mean, it's kind of a gorgeous building, and what it once was is pretty spectacular. But I haven't been in to see the new one. I don't know that it's open to the public. It might be, but this is apparently a tour of that facility. So.
Everything has been restored to, as best possible, to what its original condition is. The building is in some ways in its most pristine condition, in some ways ever. What you see now is the product of extraordinary degrees of effort and care and attention, literally to every single detail.
This clock up on the wall above the ticket lobby was like the beacon. It kept the time and the pulse for the station. Here in this column, you can see sort of pitted and marked sort of deep reliefs, heavy water damage, but some of it just ran inside into various rooms and over the columns like this that led to this sort of wonderful grooved feeling. In this waiting room, it's quite the grand hall. It was lined with oak benches. Most of the marble flooring was able to be saved and was existing from 1913. And here in this spot, you can feel the sort of grooves as people sat on these benches and kicked their feet.
Whether through events, through programming, through performances, productions, exhibits, this is a space that we want to make sure is activated as much as possible for both Detroiters and visitors to really enjoy.
Yeah, they did. Everything I've heard, they did a great job.
The damage was particularly severe from water.
Part of the restoration process was to very carefully remove and document these rosettes. We did a lot of 3D scanning and then recreation of plaster molds.
So this was the restaurant space. sort of an amazing counter that around some of these columns. Our hope is that this space will once again become destination dining. This is the South Concourse that we're in. If you were arriving, this is what you came into as your welcome to the city of Detroit.
Most of the brickwork in this room.
Yeah, to be honest, I ultimately thought they were going to make it probably a second Greenfield Village out of it eventually. That kind of thought process, which I don't know that I have a huge problem with. But yeah, I think they got a lot of. I think it was mainly done for PR and mainly the city patting their back for this project. There's no feasible reason why they restored this building. I'm glad they did. Thank you, Ford Motor. But yeah, I don't know.
Room is original and managed through the 36 years of vacancy. This, in its historic state, looks very much like what it does right now. I think it will become sort of a national or international benchmark for how to restore these types of structures going forward.
There are a handful of moments throughout the building where
You're not talking about making it a new River Rouge where they tried to put those 2 squares of grass on the fucking ceiling or on the roof is making it so that they can generate oxygen around the River Rouge plant, which is the dirtiest place in the world. like that kind of corridor.
Original state from the period where it was vacant, but in fact the canvas for graffiti, for performances, for rage, for music, we have preserved in a handful of places that condition.
Huh. It truly is. It's a beautiful building, but they could certainly. Well, they have one in. That's what I was saying. They have one in. It's called Greenfield Village, and it is. It's a nice museum. It's one of the things that I've been meaning to get down there. Henry Ford, Greenfield Village. It's just been busy and I've been unable, but it's one of the follow-ups that I'd like to do because it's a really cool museum. But failing continues. 2020, despite the investment, the city of Detroit continues to lose population, falling to an overall population of 638,176. In the last 4 years, I think that number has probably climbed. Probably not considerably, but I wouldn't be surprised if you were at 650,000, 675 maybe on a good day. But that's probably about as much. So, it was the largest percentage loss for any American city with more than 100,000 residents over the last decade, apart from the unique situation in New Orleans where the population dropped because of Hurricane Katrina. The number of people who vanished from Detroit, 237,500, was bigger than the 140,000 that left New Orleans. So that is the past. That takes us up to the future. There wasn't a lot of videos for this, so we're just going to talk about it and kind of go through it and give thoughts. So these are all future projects. They haven't been started yet. They've been talked about, but you'll kind of see the flavor of where it's going. There wasn't a lot of videos. There was basically just advertisements for, stuff like that. We'll talk about the new Greenway and that kind of thing. There was one specific video on that, but Paradise Valley. So Paradise Valley was there was some racism that certainly took place in Paradise Valley back during that time. The redlining, that kind of deal, and they're allegedly going to revamp it. So Archer's Congress Hospitality was set to unveil the Vinyl Society, a vibrant homage to Detroit's rich musical heritage, blending sound and culture in a unique space. 2024 is now set to see this lounge coming to fruition along with Randolph and Monroe Streets downtown. Again, I haven't seen any direct indication that that's happening, but that's one of the proposed plans of different things to come. Target in the future. In a major retail boast for the city, Target plans to open a 32,000 square foot store on Mack and Woodward. So pretty close to right downtown in Midtown by late 2024, making it Detroit's only Target. This marks the return of department store chain to Detroit after almost 2 decades since the closure of 8 Mile Road location in 2003. I also haven't seen this go up yet. I don't know if it's going to. Meijer, who's our local grocery store, a regional grocery store here in Michigan, some in Wisconsin, that kind of thing. Ohio, Indiana. They have said, or they have actually opened a fresh food market over kind of by Belle Isle. That looks pretty nice, but you have to, for the longest time, ever since I can remember, you have to leave the city to get groceries and stuff like that, or you have to go to kind of like a Whole Foods or order it in. So I think it's cool that Target is returning to the city. Detroit's waterfront, a future development located at 1801 West Jefferson. So that is right down by Cobo Hall, on the riverfront. Obviously, the Ralph C. Wilson Centennial Park is poised to become the new beacon of urban renewal in Detroit. Last year marked the beginning of an ambitious $75 million venture to transform the once bustling riverfront, famously known as the previous venue for the Mopop Music Festival, into a sprawling 22-acre oasis, public enjoyment, and natural beauty. It'll be that way for like 3 months until the crackheads move in. Sorry, that was inappropriate, but it's true. Oh yeah, there was nothing at all for the longest time down there. Nothing. True. I like Meijer. I don't like Walmart. And that's how it's spelled, but that's how it's said, Meijer. So like I said, we have a video on the waterfront from Click on For Detroit. And this is kind of the plan. I think it's kind of a stupid idea. Is the riverfront great? No. Is it one of the highlights of the city? Probably. And there used to be like pop-up concerts down there. That's where they have different festivals, stuff like that. That's where part of the NFL draft was this last year or a couple months ago. So there's definitely been some interesting events held on the riverfront, and I don't think it's the worst thing. It's not the worst part of Detroit, that's for sure. So I don't totally agree with this, but we'll take a look.
What started with the Riverwalk is going to keep branching out into Detroit neighborhoods, this time in Southwest Detroit. A brand new greenway is going to connect the riverfront with Corktown and Southwest Detroit, starting here at the water and going all the way up to where the train station is, close to it anyway. Victor Williams is live tonight. And Victor, this is a huge project.
Yes, Jason, a lot of people are looking forward to this. This is going to be right where that Southwest Greenway is going to be located. It was an old train track, but soon it's going to be a beautiful place that connects people in more ways than you think.
The riverfront is really the best place in Detroit.
In just a year, a Southwest Greenway will be constructed connecting neighborhoods Corktown and Mexican Town directly to Detroit's Riverwalk.
I think that's a very positive thing, especially for the city of Detroit. I know we get a lot of spotlight for not being good, and when it comes to our Latino brothers and sisters, I mean, they bring a lot of flair to our city, so why not include them in everything the city has to offer? The $8 million project will be about a mile long, going from Backley to Jefferson. This will.
Did she just make a racism against people from Mexican Town? Because I lived in Mexican Town, and it's a great area. All right. I mean, not ideal, but it's all right. Armando's is fantastic. If you're ever looking for good, authentic Mexican food, yep, go head on down there.
Will also connect the riverfront to the future Ralph C.
Yep.
Wilson Jr. Centennial Park.
Detroit has a wonderful town, wonderful things to offer, and I'm sick and tired of the bad reputation Detroit has. It's about time we got something good going.
The big word of the day is inclusion. Detroit Riverfront Conservancy CEO Mark Wallace says it's special because now more of the city will be able to enjoy the riverfront with easier access.
People in Detroit want to be in the same place together. And this greenway will make it so easy for senior citizens and moms and kids to go from their neighborhoods in Southwest Detroit straight down to the riverfront.
Michigan Central announced a $5 million commitment to the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy that will help with some of the cost. Huge investment for the local community.
I really enjoy going to the riverfront, and I think that's the best project ever.
And you can expect the project to be completed by fall.
Yeah, I call bullshit on that one. But yeah. Great food. Fantastic food. Armando's and Mexican Town. There's another one down there. I don't like it, but it's much like the Coney debate. Like, a lot of people like one and don't like the other, and I obviously think those people are crazy, certifiably, but you know, whatever. I'm gonna show off Armando's because they're so good. I haven't been there in a minute. I should probably go down there. Look at that. Okay, their website sucks, but they're good. Yeah, there's literally nothing on their website. Oh, right here. Yes, the important things. But yeah, so that's Armando's. Good food. Don't go at night. Invite me. It will be safer. Not just because I want food, but it will be safer. I'm telling you, Detroit is one of those you have to have somebody to hang out kind of cities. But anyways, so the Julius Greenway was the other part of that project. Calls for transforming a rail corridor into a 27.5 mile pathway that would connect 23 Detroit neighborhoods, as well as Hamtramck, Highland Park, and Dearborn. Groundbreaking on the $240 million 10-year project started in 2021. Again, I haven't seen any like massive update on this one either, so I'll take them for their word. All right, we gotta go back because I forgot that one. Big Sean's Cinema Adventure. Big Sean, a rapper from Detroit. He's kind of on the bigger side of the, that kind of famous stuff. Oh, and I didn't copy over the other. So disregard everything that says because that's from the other one. I don't know what the hell this is anyways, but there's supposed to be a Big Sean Cinema Adventure. that Big Sean is putting together. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, if you don't know, don't go there or ask a friend. That's what I'm saying. Go with somebody. It's a weird city, man. Like you go with somebody, you're fine. From Detroit, you're totally fine. Go venturing out on your own, you'll get yourself in trouble. 600 associates reimagining the Joe Louis Arena site. The site of the former Joe Louis Arena, a landmark in Detroit sports history, is being redeveloped into a 25-story residential tower with 500 housing units. Yeah, maybe. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I haven't seen this going up either. It's just in their future plans. To the right is the Renaissance Center. Behind this big, tall building is Canada. And that's kind of the thought process behind it. So, there's also supposed to be a hotel and all kinds of stuff integrated kind of in that specific area. So it's, I don't know. I'm indifferent. The Hudson Site Project. The J.L. Hudson department store site at 1208 Woodward Avenue is being transformed by Bedrock into a mixed-use development initially planned as Michigan's tallest building. The project now has undergone revisions, is now expected to reach a height of 685.4 feet. Hudson site, it's kind of a cool site. I don't see the need for this type of building, and I don't see the budget for this type of building. And if it's going to be, I mean, I know they've taken a step back from Michigan's tallest building, but a huge building like that is going to look kind of out of place here because you just don't have it. Like you have skyscrapers, you have big buildings, but this thing is going to look, it's going to kind of stick out. And I don't think it's going to encourage new people to show up. So I think it's going to look kind of stupid and out of place. So yeah, you're safe on one block, very dangerous situation on the other, on the same damn street. If you don't cross the other side, it is a little bit better now. Since I've been down there the other day, like downtown. It's gotten better, but it is a dangerous situation you can get yourself into very quickly. This one is one that I'm really looking kind of forward to, just because it's again one of those older buildings. But Bedrock recently announced the completion of its 7-year, $300 million restoration of nearly century-old high-rise, which has sat vacant since 2009. 500,000 square foot building includes 38 floors, 229 residential units, 117 hotel rooms, co-working space, 52,000 square feet of retail, and plans for 3 new dining concepts. This is one that they're talk like it's done, but I don't know that I've been there. I think they opened something recently that I saw locally in that building, but again, I haven't been down there, but it looks like yet another beautiful building, and there are many of them down here. So if it's done, good on them. I'll have to go visit. If it's not done, I'm excited to see it. Oh, went to that one and skip back. Gordie Howe International Bridge is a future plan, but it's currently going up. We talked about it when we talked about the bridge and the tunnel prior, but a second international bridge linking Detroit to Windsor has been met with fierce opposition from billionaire owner of the Ambassador Bridge. But the $4.5 billion project, named after the late great Canadian-born Detroit Red Wing, is now underway. It is huge. I went down to Zug Island and looked around the other day. This thing is fucking massive. So massive. So incredibly huge. Nuts. Nuts, nuts, nuts. it's 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 huge. And I couldn't count because they don't have a ton of it done, but you can see the towers and stuff. It looks like it's going to be like 8 lanes. Detroit is one of the largest hubs for bringing in, merchandise and shipping from Canada. So we get a lot of shipping, and it's considerably backed up with the old Ambassador Bridge with just 2 lanes each way. But this is a big bridge, and I understand why there was opposition. I understand why it was incredibly expensive, because it is a massive project. And can't wait to drive over it. It'll be cool. Maybe I'll go back to Canada at some point. And we finish with the Fisher 21 Lofts. Detroit's hulking former Fisher body plant, number 21, abandoned since 1990s, could be soon reborn into a mixed-use development. The $134 million plan calls for 433 residential units and a commercial space. Construction is expected to be completed in 2025. Again, I don't think they've started this one. And I could be wrong. But I don't think it's started, so it's probably not going to be done by 2021. The old Fisher building is, again, it's one of those iconic structures, but it seems to more than anything just be kind of there, if that makes sense. So it doesn't seem like they've done a lot with it. And yeah, it's unfortunate that the history's gone to waste, but it doesn't seem like they're gonna do a hell of a lot with it in the future. Just my opinion, but they'd be far better off just building something new. And I get the historical thought of it, but yeah. So that is all that is planned for this lovely city coming up. Like I said, I really wanted to get this in. Here's my basic thoughts on this. I think Detroit is a great city. I think it's a beautiful city. I think it lacks a lot of the things like investment or willing participants in investment. It doesn't have the structure in the depth that you see in other cities, other countries, other areas. And that kind of stuff needs to be moved back in, and there has to be much more of a concerted effort to bring people in that are not Mike Ilitch or Ilitch Holdings. But that's a different topic for a different day. So, with that being said, love the city. I love the fact that new things are moving, and it appears that maybe we'll get a change. Is there plans for the future instead of just decay? Yeah, and that's the most reassuring thing. Is there seems to at least be a plan at this point, and I'll take it. I'll take it for sure. Local investment is a must. Yeah. So from somebody who owns a business here in Michigan, the government services, the local investment, the all those kinds of things. We've put in some significant consideration to leaving Michigan because it's nearly impossible to. If you're going to do it in Detroit, you're going to do it alone, and that's sometimes difficult and not worth it. So I know that my company is not alone. I know that there's several that are considering as well leaving the state of Michigan and the city of Detroit, which is unfortunate, but it's such more of a robust system and there's so much more depth to the system in other places. And it's just like it's kind of like swimming uphill consistently here in Detroit, and Michigan for that. So I'm hoping it changes. We're still going to stick it out for now, but it might not be too far down the, which sucks. And anybody who's watched this program, anybody who's ever talked to me, I love this city. I do, probably to a fault at times. So if I'm leaving, might not be great. So, and I haven't decided yet, but we're weighing the opportunity, that's not the word I was looking for. We're evaluating different things. You want to start a business with the red tape? Yeah, the red tape makes it incredibly difficult. Trying to build something here and having other states have been willing to assist, like put together plans, assist, different investments, funding, projects, that kind of thing. And here it's completely the opposite. The state and local governments just fight against you at every single turn. You have to move south? Well, maybe we might go to the same state again, eh? But it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it would even be a consideration, because anybody who knows me knows how much I love this city, and that it's kind of a sad state of affairs. And I think that's ultimately going to be what does the most harm to Detroit, Michigan, is not having that ability. Looking at Tennessee, okay. I was looking one state south. Sweet home Alabama. But that's a topic for a different day. I can vent and, I don't know, bitch about it at some other point. But I hope that it continues to get investment. I hope that it continues to get people that want to be here. And I hope that it continues to get new population, because it is truly the greatest city in the world. We've just had our times, and we've had our challenges. That's absolutely for sure. So, with that being said, that wraps up the timeline into the future. When I get back from my trip out west, I will certainly put together what I messed up and what I missed, and yeah, then we'll go from there, get into some more specifics about some of the bigger things. So thank you guys for watching. Please hit that like button on the way out if you would not mind. And until next time, hope everyone has a good night. Take care.
Detroit, Michigan. Oh, yeah. Detroit, Michigan. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Detroit, Michigan. Yeah, yeah.